For years, we've all treated the internet like a place we just visit, right? A digital space that we kind of rent. But what if we could actually own the ground beneath our digital feet? We're going to dive into a pretty fundamental shift in how our online world could be built, moving from a world of digital tenants to one of digital owners. I mean, seriously, think about it for a second. Your followers, all that content you've created, your entire online identity. Do you really own any of it? Or is it all just living on a server somewhere, owned by somebody else, and governed by rules you had absolutely no saying? And this right here really gets to the core of the whole idea. On one side, you've got the internet as rented land. That's where we build our digital lives on platforms owned by these giant corporations. But on the other side, you see this promise of owned foundations, a future where you could be the landlord of your own digital space. It's a huge difference. Okay, so let's really unpack the problem with this rented land model. Look, it's what built the web we all use today, for sure, but it comes with some pretty serious hidden costs. I'm sure this sounds familiar. We pour all our time and creativity into building a community, and then bam, an algorithm changes and your reach just disappears overnight. Poof! We create all this value, but we don't hold any of the equity. Our data becomes a product to be bought and sold, and we have almost no control over it. We're basically digital sharecroppers working on someone else's farm. But what if there's another way? An evolution on the horizon? Well, that's where this whole concept of Web 4 comes into play. And the idea isn't just about adding another number to the name. It's about a complete philosophical shift, away from being harvested for data and towards real individual sovereignty. So this timeline kind of shows how we got here. Web 2. That's the world we live in now, right? Totally centralized. Then came Web 3, which introduced this huge idea of decentralization with blockchain. A massive step for sure. But let's be honest, the tools were often way too complicated for most people to actually use. So the vision for Web 4 is to be the sovereign web, to bridge that gap with practical tools that could finally make digital ownership easy for pretty much everyone. Okay, so that all sounds great in theory, but how would you actually build on this new foundation? Well, it all comes down to having the right tools. And this particular vision for Web 4 relies on two really critical pieces of infrastructure, something called UI/UID and another called SNaaS. All right, first up is UID. The absolute best way to think about this is like a digital passport. It's your identity 100%, but it's not tied to Google or Facebook or anybody else. It is totally yours. It's something you carry with you across this whole new sovereign internet. And these features are what make it so powerful. Decoupled just means that if you decide to leave a service, your identity doesn't just get deleted. Portable. This one is huge. It means you could literally pack up your entire social graph, all your friends, your followers, your data, and move it somewhere else. And secure means you're in the driver's seat when it comes to your privacy. The bottom line is, this could finally break that platform lock-in that we've all gotten so used to. The second tool is SNaaS, or Social Network as a Service. And wow, this one is a potential game changer. Imagine being able to launch the entire backend for a social network just as easily as you'd start a blog on WordPress today. It basically turns all that complex social infrastructure into a simple utility, like turning on the water. It puts the power to create your own digital world in anyone's hands. So we have the proposed tools, we've got the passport, and we've got the building blocks. But what could we actually build with them? Well, this is where the idea of a microcity comes to life. This is the tangible thing you could create with this new infrastructure. Just picture it, a digital space just for your local neighborhood, or for your professional group, or for a global community of people who are all into the same hobby. A space where the members themselves actually own the territory. They set their own rules for how it's run. They control their own little economy. That's a microcity. And the process for building one would be surprisingly straightforward. First, you use SNaaS to just poof, deploy the basic framework instantly. Second, members use their sovereign UID passports to join up. And third, the community itself gets to decide how it wants to operate. In theory, this makes building a totally independent digital community a practical reality for anyone. When you put all this together, you get to the most critical takeaway, the real heart of the matter. This fundamental, massive shift from renting your online life to actually owning it. And I mean, just look at the contrast here. It's stark. In the old rental model, your ID is owned by big tech. They can delete it anytime they want. In the ownership model, your UID is yours, permanently. Your data,
It goes from being harvested and sold to being a private asset that you control. Your reach, instead of being at the mercy of some mysterious algorithm, you get direct access to 100% of your community. And the infrastructure itself shifts from being this closed-off proprietary thing to something that's open and accessible to everyone.
So what does this all add up to for us? Well, it could signal a huge transformation from being a passive user who just rents space online to becoming an active citizen who actually owns their digital assets, their identity, and their relationships.
This quote really captures the scale of the vision. It's basically a declaration of independence for our digital lives, a move away from depending on these centralized giants for everything and moving toward a future where every single one of us could be sovereign.
And that really brings us to the final question. You see, this isn't just about a technical change, it's about a change in our mindset. After all these years of building our lives on rented land, the real question is a simple one, but it's powerful. Are you ready to own the foundation?